Welcome everyone in this new video tutorial about Diablo-like dungeon generator. In this video we're going to clean up a bit of the function of the feature we previously reworked. So the force style in the previous video, I actually made us create a metric which is the force style for the list of force style we want, and we actually made that a map, and that makes us unable to add several tiles at the beginning, at the middle, etc. So I want to make sure we work around that and we're actually able to add several tiles in the same spot. So we'll need to make that a structure, an array of a structure we're going to create right now. So we're going to create a new structure. This is going to be called S forced tile. We're going to open that up. This is going to be, so how do we want our forced tile to set up our forced tile value? So we want a direction and we want a dungeon progression. So this is going to be a 2 variable structure containing a direction and a progression, like that. So this is going to be, we're going to build up the directions just to make sure whenever we create a tile, we don't have to generate these entries each time if we set up there in the base values. So like that. And then we want to duplicate the force style variable. We want to let that for now, and we want to set this is a force style structure array, like that. We want to hit compile. We want to say there is one entry. This is, so it's actually checked by the west is actually checked by default, probably because I misclicked that in our direction values in here. So I'm going to hit save, close that. So I'm going to say I want a corridor at the beginning of our level. I'm going to let that, and I'm going to go find our force style variable. So we actually need to go in here and we need to build our force style array by looping through that, breaking that, and adding and getting our force style progression and adding to that this. So it's a little bit tricky in here. So if we're doing this like that, we're going to delete that. So we are adding each of the force style we set up in our metrics to our force style progression array. So this is our temporary array of force styles. We're going to call that awaiting force style. We're going to hit escape. I don't want to rename that. I don't come up with a better name. So I'm not coming up with a better name just yet. So we want to say that we correctly built that, but now we'll need to not remove them from the array. We'll need to clear the array. That's actually unlucky of us. Okay, I know how we are going to do that. We are going to need a map instead of an array in here. So we need to duplicate that. We're going to call that. So that's when Now I need to come up with a better name. So this is our sorted wanted forced styles, and this is going to be a map of integer and of progression. We're going to hit compile, hit save, go back to our reset layout function. We want to get that. We want to add. What do we want to add? We want to add the progression at the index, like that. And then when we check for force style, what do we want to do? We actually want to grab the keys out of our, the values out of our, not the values, we want to grab the keys. And then what do we want to do? We want to loop through the keys with a break. Then we want to say, we want to find the array elements in here. We want to break. No, we just need to find that in our dungeon progression. Actually, we just need to grab all the wires tied to the array element. We want to grab that. We want to grab that. We want to get rid of our previous loop and pull the new one in here. So for each tile we stored in our map, we're checking if these tiles are of the right progression, are at the same level of progression our dungeon is. And if so, what do? We actually want to get our force tile array, and we want to grab the array element in here. We want to break that. We want to grab the direction like this. We want to delete that. So we're getting the array, the proper index in our array stored in our map. And then we want to get rid. We want to remove the index we added, the index we placed. So this is not the forced progression found. We don't want to store that anymore. We want to store an integer. We want to change the variable type. Forced progression found, forced tile index found. We want to get rid of that wire, and we want to grab the array element, forced progression found, and we want to remove that from our map of force tile, wanted force tile. Force tile progression, we don't want that anymore. We want the force tile, the wanted force tile length, like that. And then we want to hit refresh all nodes because it was throwing an error for no reason. We want to find the references to our force tile progression array. Display force tile errors. So we don't want to loop through that anymore. We want to loop through our wanted force tiles. We want to loop through the keys. No, we want to loop through the values. So this is the function which is displaying which force tile we failed to spawn, like that. So if I'm checking the references to that, it doesn't exist anymore. We can get rid of the variable. We can check where are we using the force tile variable. Anywhere. We can delete that. We can hit compile, hit save. We can rename the force tile array. We can hit compile, hit save. We can hit play. So it's spawning a corridor. Oh, I add an infinite loop once again. So we're going to check our output log. It says it generates an infinite loop when we stepped back, and then when we spawn the tile. So if I'm not mistaken, this is something I already faced in the previous video. So I'm just going to make sure I did not fail at fixing one of the bugs I registered. So that one we fixed it. I'm going to add this check to our. So this is the check I tried to ignore at just the previous video. In here, I wanted us to add a small check that asks, are we at 0? If so, are we greater than 0? If so, we continue. And I realized that was messing up with our our dungeon progression enumerator start, which is supposed to be plugged at 0. So if I'm saying this like that, we are actually making it so start can whenever we use the start enumerator, it won't be spawning the tile. So if I'm hitting plus like a madman, it's spawning dungeons infinitely, and we don't get any infinite loop, I mean. So I really think this is causing the issue when it tries to spawn the force tile at the beginning of the dungeon, and it fails to spawn it. I think we come up with an error, and I'm not sure why, because we actually protected our dungeon from generating errors. So if it did not generate a force tile, we tried to step back, and we are asking for, is the progression greater than 1? And we have 35% step back chance. So I think we might get an error if we try to step back on the start tile, but I think we already protected that. So if we go to our step back function, we are actually asking, okay, so we are actually, so this is where the bug comes from. If we roll step back twice, if we increase our chance to step back like that, and if we hit play, it's not generating errors. But if I'm saying we want a corridor at the beginning by allowing the check for force tile functions to place a force tile at the start, we're going to loop infinitely. But I think that it will not generate an infinite loop if I get rid of the step back % chance. So I'll just make sure that the bug comes from that. And if it does, yeah, we don't get an infinite loop. So we'll get rid of that in the next video. So this is going to wrap up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.